Well, from tires to laser surgery to cranes to trampolines. Sounds like an unlikely combination. This is Malcolm out here. Welcome to a Brink Thinking segment. And as you know the drill, how do you take an average idea and how do you make it an extraordinary idea? I think this is a good one for you to listen into because that's exactly what Dean Akers, I think, has done here. So, what are the common factors? Sales, expansion, and success, as we say, right? Meet Dean Akers. We call him, and I'm going to call him a Brink thinker extraordinaire. And I don't say that often, buddy. How's that?
That's awesome.
And I do say that because I think I've always had the pleasure, Dean, of talking to great minds and Brink thinkers. But I think you are a Brink thinker extraordinaire because one thing I've seen about you is you're not afraid to push the envelope just a little bit further than the next cat, right?
Right.
So good to see you, man.
Good seeing you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you've done that, I think, all your business life, Dean. You're taking this average idea or concept, which is really the truth. When you enter a company, or you enter the doors, I think you probably size everything up quickly. And I'm going to take a guess here. I don't know because we haven't talked about this, but there's a lot of average out there, and I'm sure a lot of times you've walked in, it's probably pretty average. So you want to take that idea, and you're the epitome, ground zero, of Brink thinking, and take that forward to push the boundaries, question everything, all the things I tell you folks, eyes, not your eyes so much. But you said something more interesting I want to reflect back on, please, a moment here. And when you said you look at it from a child's eyes, and I want to touch on this a moment, please, because this is a big point to me, okay? When you said that, now are you referring, do you refer strictly to airheads with that, or are you referring to every business you've taken a look at?
Every business I've taken a look at or helped.
Okay, I want to make sure of that. And I assumed you was, brother. But the reason I want to make sure of that, and I want to drive this point home with all of you, is this. Because this is really where I think the rubber meets the road, okay? Because you see, as a child, as a kid, we're uninhibited to our thoughts and our knowledge. It really is. We're free thinkers. As a kid, a lot of times you say, well, little Johnny's going to say whatever he wants to say. Well, probably true. And little Sally will too. Because they don't have all of that adult package and baggage that comes with it. Right, Dean?
Correct.
Yeah. And so I think it's important to do that. It's kind of, you really helped me with that a little bit because I've always done that in my life, and you've given me a refresher at this moment to remind myself. And I've been called a juvenile delinquent many times, and I always consider it a privilege. You
I know.
Smart guy. So, well, that's a compliment. I'll take that.
Exactly.
Thank you. Right?
Exactly.
So, and anyway, but no, that's good. So you do it in all businesses, all practices. You step back. You look at it from really an innocent perspective, is what you're suggesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it works.
Every time.
It's good. It's really, I love this stuff. You advocate the importance of, as we were chatting before, of analytics and fact-based decisions. That's kind of one of the things I've known about you over the years, actually, a little bit, is that actually to a stubborn point. You're almost mule-headed about it, but you'll kind of bring it, is that right or wrong?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and you'll kind of, but what is that? And actually, it's, again, another interesting way to look at things. You believe everything, instead of just opinion or guess, you really want to bring it down to the fact-based. Talk to us a little bit about that in business, please.
The biggest thing I find with fellow CEOs, and I work with over hundreds of companies in the last 30 years, but is the phenomenon called self-talk, where you start convincing yourself of stuff that just is not true. And I mean, you can get worked into a frenzy. You can believe the economy. I mean, most businesses are too small. I've seen businesses where the guy goes, the economy's bad, and he has a small restaurant, and he's sitting at the corner of a big building. The economy can't affect him. It's his bad service, his bad food, his bad attitude, his self-fulfilling prophecy. So I've found that self-talk, and I talk to all our teams about it, self-talk is probably the biggest deterrent to business success today,
Dean.
Period.
So people are believing their own crap.
Correct.
But keep that there a minute on ice for me for a moment, and just help me with this, because I drew a disconnect in my mind for one moment, okay? I hear what you just said, and I don't initially disagree with that at all. But then we're also taught early on, and certainly the Zig Ziglar way would be do, have. So if you're going to have, then you have to do it, but you have to be. So you have to be first. Be who it is that you are going to be today. How does that reflect to that? I mean, in other words, you believe that you're already a success. You believe that you're already doing this. You believe that you're already selling in Greece or selling, 5 gazillion cucumbers a year before you actually do it. So how does that set up to what I'm curious, is there a connection or a disconnect with those two things?
There's a total correlation connection.
Please.
What happens is the average business person starts in business and then they don't believe. They don't believe in what they started at. And then the biggest thing is they don't do what they said they were going to do. In other words, customer service or whatever. And then they get affected by conversations of the economy, competition. And I tell all my teams, you can't affect the economy, no individual can. You can't affect your competition's policies, so get over it and don't worry about it. Worry about what you can affect. And quite frankly, when you look at companies that really worry about what they can affect, they're mega successful, to the tune of Apple redefining,
wow,
all the different companies, Amazon redefining the whole distribution models. They believed in what they believed.
Well, these are Brink thinking attitudes.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're definitely,
absolutely.
Dean, there's no doubt about it. And there are a lot of case studies I'm following now, so that when I write the book on Brink thinking, which is still a couple years away, we definitely, when we write that book and release it, we want that to do this to the bestseller list. So there's a lot of case study and a lot of looking at these things, which we need to actually talk about ahead a little bit. Your life and career, I want to talk about the. Has it developed the way you would have imagined at this point? Here you are at this point of your life. Very much an entrepreneur, very much minded, but yet understanding the corporate, really I call it corporate magnetism of executives who get into these corporate businesses and build them and grow them up the corporate ladder, and yet still entrepreneurial minded. Are you where you think you would be? I mean, with the companies you've done and tackled, and
well, I'm where I think I would be because I'm happy. But if you took when I was 21 years old, getting out of college, looking for that long-term career, if you look at my resume today, you'd almost have to wonder if I could hold a job. And the reality is I've had so many different career things, and now at 60 years old, I'm really pleased that when people ask me to come in their company, I used to try to explain what I was talking about. Now I have a card that just says cause. And I say, I'm 60, I've done all these different businesses, you got to trust me.
No, it's just cause. Do you consider yourself, Dean Akers, a rebel in the business?
I would say I'm a rebel in the fact that I think like a child and I think without filters.
And your approach to business, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I definitely think without filters.
Yeah. Which exactly makes you, I mean, you're a classic. You are definitely a classic Brink thinker, man. And we've never talked about this before, but clearly you qualify. Are you relationship or more process driven, do you think?
It's both. Relationship with my associates.
Right.
And my associates are empowered to build processes to satisfy our customers and create an awesome experience. So I don't know if that.
Are they working hand in hand, or what do you think is more valuable in your opinion?
Well, and people that have great relationships with their employees have great process and great success. One of my dearest friends, Ed Crenshaw, CEO of Public Supermarkets, yeah. They embrace that and look at the successes of Public Supermarkets, even though they have thousands, tens of thousands of employees.
They are clearly a success, and he actually is a Brink thinker as well. We should get him on sometime because you're exactly right. They took an average grocery experience and changed it actually for the better, I think.
Yeah, right.
It's one of the few stores I can go in without getting like spasms or something.
Yeah.
I don't do stores, buddy. I hate them.
They're a great company.
Yeah, I think they are actually. And again, I'm not a big store guy. I stay out of most of them, exactly. So, lastly, tell us the biggest risk you've taken so far, and what's delivered the biggest payoff for you.
One of the things about being a child is you don't really see risk. That's why if you notice as a parent, you're telling your children to get off the fence. You're telling your children not to.
I forgot who I was talking to. I'm sorry. Strike that question, Your Honor.
I don't. Unfortunately, I don't see risk. And flip side, you mentioned earlier, I'm a real analytical person, so my risks are well. I've vetted them in my own mind.
Amazing. So again, you heard it here, and again, I love this stuff, and it doesn't get any more Brink thinking than I think this man here, quite frankly. So the only question you have to ask yourself tomorrow is, when are you going to make the leap?